Greetings viewers, welcome to Nostech Academy. In this lesson we are going to look at quadratic graphs or quadratic equations, but specifically we are going to look at how to graph these quadratic function. All right, so we're going to graph quadratic function of the degree 2, okay, of this form: ax² plus bx plus c is equal to 0. How do you graph this equation when you're just given the function, this one? How do you sketch the graph of this? All right. Number one, what you need to know is that before you graph that one, at least you can have an idea of what your graph will look like after graphing. So, number one, if the value of a is positive, then your graph will have a small face like this. Will open upwards. This is what we call as a small face. If the value of a is positive, this is the value of a. A is the coefficient, a number in front of a variable squared. So in this case is this one. So this one is positive. So our graph will open upwards. But if it was negative, our graph would have opened downwards, which is called a frown face. All right. So we've known that our graph will open upwards, but even without knowing that, you can sketch your graph. Now, things that you need to know in order to sketch your graph: number one, you need roots. Roots are called intercepts. In this case, we have x-intercepts. Okay, after finding the x-intercepts, you should also know how to find the y-intercepts. Okay, after we find the x-intercepts, y-intercepts, you should also know how to find the turning point. You should find the turning point of the graph. Turning point of the graph. All right, turning point of the graph, and that's it. So these are the things we're going to calculate in order to graph that function. The first one is to find the x-intercepts. How do you find the x-intercepts? All right, so to find the x-intercepts, we're going to write the function, which is 2x² minus 3x plus 1 is equal to. Now, we are finding the x-intercepts. Let me just draw this Cartesian plane. This is x and this is y. Okay? Then in the x-axis, the value of y is 0. So here we're going to substitute it with 0 because we want to find the roots or the x-intercepts. To find the x-intercepts, remember we factorize. We factorize to find the x-intercept. All right? So to factorize, we find the product of a and c. So the product here of a is 2, c is 1. So the product will be just 2 times 1, which is just 2. Sum will be b, and b in this equation is -3. So you look for two numbers. When you multiply them, should give you +1, and when you add them, they should give you -3. So two factors of 2 are only 1 and 2 itself. And for the fact that this one is negative and this one is positive, it means that both numbers here are negative, because -1 times -1 is +2. -1 plus -2 is -3. So these are the factors. The purpose of doing this is to split this function to 4 terms. Why 4 terms? So that we factorize by grouping. Here you can't factorize because you have nothing in common. You can't factorize by grouping because you can group the first 2, but this one is just 1. So we split this b into 2 terms so that we factorize by grouping. So therefore, we're going to replace this negative 3x with these 2. And it will be 2x squared minus x, which is just 1 here, minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Look at this. When you add here, it should give you negative 3. Give you back to negative 3. Now we have 4 terms. Let's factorize. Common by grouping. These 2, common factor is just x. X into x squared remain with 2x. X into x is 1. So 2x minus 1. Here, what is common? I can see here that it is negative 1. Okay, negative 1 into positive 2. Negative 2 is positive 2x. Negative divided by positive is negative. 1 into 1 is 1. Is equal to 0. You have 2x minus 1. Then you just write, here you have 2 terms. You have this side and this one. So it will be 2x minus 1. Then here you have x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then here it will be 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. And well, you're going to use and here, or not or, because you have 2 roots. All right, then this one, it will be x minus 1 is equal to 0. So for x, 2x is equal to 1, positive 1, because this negative 1 will cross the cosine and it becomes positive 1. Divided by 2, even here divided by 2. Therefore, x is equal to half. Here, x is equal to 1. So our graph will pass through x is equal to negative, x is equal to half, and x is equal to 1. Both positive. So our graph will be on the positive side. So let's say this one is 0. Let's say this one is 1. And this one is 2. Okay? So this is half, which is 0.5. So 0.5 is somewhere here. Okay? Here. Then 1 is here. So our graph will pass through here. Let me just extend this one as, let me make this one as 1. Okay, so that this one becomes half, then here 1. So we know that our graph will pass through here, this 0.5 and 1. Now we don't know where the graph is turning. That's the reason why we need to find the turning point of this graph, because we don't know if it's turning here. So we find the turning point of the graph. Now to find the turning point of the graph, we will use, since we've already found these 2, so we can create space. We can create space here for finding the y-intercept, then last the turning point. Now, to find the x-intercept, we substituted y with 0. Same as when finding the y-intercept, we substitute x with 0. So whenever there is x here, 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 is equal to y, or just y is equal to this one. Wherever there is x in this equation, we substitute with 0. Okay, now if you substitute 0, this will be 0 and this will be 0, and y will be 1. Y will be 1. Now, in other words, the value of y or y-intercept will always be the constant. If at all you have the constant, in this case the constant is 1, then that curve will cross the y-axis at y is equal to 1. Okay? If it was 8 here, then our y-intercept would have been 8. That's how simple y-intercept is. But for x-intercept, you need to factorize first before you find that one. So also if we've used this scale, then as well as even here, this should be the 1. So our graph will pass through this here and here, but don't know where it's turning. That's why we need to find the turning point. All right, the turning point. So we have the roots. Let me just write it from here. We have x is equal to 1 over 2 and x is equal to 1. We also have y-intercept as y is equal to 1. Okay, turning point. Finding turning point of the graph, we need turning point, it is in the form of x, y. So to find the x coordinate of a turning point, we need to use this formula. X is equal to negative b over 2a. Okay? Negative. What is the value of b in the question? Is negative 3. So substitute with negative 3 here. Don't make a mistake of substituting, of just putting 3 because there's already a negative. No. This is negative on the formula. Introduce your negative in the brackets. Then 2 times, the value of a is 2. 2 here. Then negative times negative, positive. Positive 3 over 4. Okay? So this is the x coordinate of the turning point. X coordinate of the turning point. All right? In form of decimals, this is 4 into 3 is 0 point. Then this one becomes 30. Then 4 into 30 is 7. Is 7, remainder 2. 4 into 25. 0.75. Okay, 0.75 as the decimal, in decimals. So now, how do you find the y part of the turning point? You can either substitute this one in the original equation and find for y, or you use the formula. We are going to use the formula. Okay? And the formula is this. Y is equal to 4ac minus b squared over 4a. All right? Y is equal to 4. The value of a there is 2. The value of c is 1 minus. The value of b is negative 3 squared over 4 times a, which is 2. Okay? So this one will be y is equal to 4 times 2 times 1 is 8 minus negative 3 squared is positive 9 over 4 times 2, 8. Then y is equal to 8 minus 1, minus 9 is negative 1 over 8. 1 over 8 as the decimal, it will be negative 0.1. This 8 into 1 is 0, remain 0, then this one becomes 10. 8 into 10 is 1, remainder 2. Then 8 into 20, it's 2, 2, remainder 4. Then 8 into 40 is 5 times. So 0.125, which we can just round off to 0.1, no problem. Okay? Now we've found everything needed to graph this equation, this function. We needed roots, turning point. That's all. Now, I want to add another information that may be of value to you, especially to the grade 12 in paper 1. Sometimes they may ask you to find the axis of symmetry. Finding axis of symmetry is the same as finding the x part of a turning point. So we've already calculated the axis of symmetry, because this is the formula for calculating axis of symmetry. So axis of symmetry is 0.75, which is 3 over 4, or 3/4. Okay, 3 over 4. That is axis of symmetry. Then minimum or maximum value is this formula. So we found the minimum value of the point, of the graph, which is -1/8 or -0.125. That's all. Let's graph this now. We are just sketching, by the way. It may not be accurate, but we are sketching. This is half of 1, which is 0.5, according to the roots. Then where it is turning, if we have 1 here, then we should also have -1 somewhere here. Then as the minimum. Now, this 0.7, which is just 0.8, when you round it off to 1 decimal place, 0.7, okay? This is 0.5. 0.6 is somewhere here, 0.7 somewhere here, okay? So, this is the minimum, the axis of symmetry. Then y is 0.1. 0.1, 0.2. If we were to use the actual graph, it would have been easy and accurate. But I want to show you how you can sketch even without the graph. Okay? If this is 0.1, then 0.5 is here. Okay, in the middle of 0 and the -1. -0.5 is here. So 0.1 somewhere here, 0.2, or 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. So 0.1 is somewhere here. So here, this one is 0.1. So this is the turning point of the graph. This is where x is 0.8. When you round this one off with 0.8, so 5 here, 6, 7, 8 is somewhere here. Okay, 8. Then y is 0.1 here. -0.1. So this is the turning point of the graph, and our graph will be like this. Okay, to pass through this point here, and it will turn from here. Then it will go up like this. Then you label this one as y is equal to 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. That's all. Then in the exam, mostly it comes like this. Then you are just given values. Let's say here there is a, b, c. Okay. A, B, C, then you're asked to find the minimum, the turning point, the coordinates of A and B or C, everything they can ask you. But know that if you know these, then this one will be simple, and it's usually 6 marks in the final exam, which is paper 1. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe and like the content.